So, in the Garden of Eden, God said, there's the tree of life and there's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I know I keep bringing this up, but it all ties together. It all ties together to secret societies that go all the way back to the Romans, the Roman age, that had secret police, secret societies. They had the cult of Isis, on and on and on. And then that just carried over into America. So the most important thing to understand about why the two trees, the tree of life versus the tree of knowledge of good and evil, is so significant here is because it's the very tree that caused the original sin to take place that now is everywhere. Which is why Jesus said all will be deceived. Now, most higher educated people would totally disagree with me on all of this, but then it's because they don't want to look at what the science and technology has done. The science and technology themselves never stops long enough to look at their track record and see how much damage their research has caused. All they care about is doing the research. It's an obsession, a sickness, which is why you lose all these things, because you can't have the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Again, God did not want them to know knowledge, not through that tree, not through the false prophet, let's say, the false God. God would give them knowledge. He says it in the Bible. And here's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Yes, and what is it filled with? Vanity, competition, disharmony, pride, strife, jealousy, envy, human reasoning being most important there. There's a difference between wisdom and human reasoning. So God talks over and over again in the Bible so many times using examples of the tree or the olive branches, and how you will know who to trust by the fruits that they bear. You will know a good tree, that it's rooted in good soil, if the fruits that it bears are good. It'll bear good fruit. This doesn't bear good fruit. This is all why God said, do not conform to this world. See to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ. It's not that Christ would not have given Adam and Eve knowledge. He would have. But instead, they went and wanted to go their own way of finding knowledge. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. See, that's the problem with the higher educated. As I just said, they never stop long enough to see how much damage they've caused, because all they think about is doing research. It doesn't matter the cost. It doesn't matter the lives. It doesn't matter that they've created, nuclear weapons. And that's what ends up happening. That's why God did not want them taking from that tree. That tree has just become a whole bunch of trees that built up into a building called universities. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. God says in the Bible, so did Jesus, that he is the teacher. Does that mean you never go to a teacher here? If you have discernment, you should know. And again, I'm not talking about somebody that just goes, to a 4-year college. I'm talking about this higher educated stuff. And I'm not talking about everybody, but really most of the people that are higher educated, they don't spend one moment of their life ever thinking about God, and many other people don't, except that everything that God said, everything the Bible said is true of it all. And the science has proven everything that God has said, actually. And that man goes off on their own, onto wicked adventures, to where it's okay to, abuse beagle puppies because the NIH decides to give a grant that wants to torture puppies or torture whoever, and all under the name of science. No, that's psychopathy. An important one here. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being a priest to me. And since you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children. As for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. God has his own way of educating. Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I believe in your commandments. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. That's really key. There's a reason they want to get kids in the university as fast as they can, get them into these fraternities. And some of them aren't, not all the fraternities are secret societies, but many are. But still, it doesn't matter. They do all this hazing. It's, people, it's just ridiculous. But that kind of stuff went on during the Roman Empire, too. In their secret societies, they had rituals and trials that people had to go through in order to get into them. All of this stuff is what has been a tool to covertly overthrow. Here's a perfect example. To this day, no media, no one is talking about any of these secret societies, are they? Nope, they won't talk about any of them. This is one that was in Dartmouth. Yeah, Sphinx. These men it goes on to talk about here, always they pick the Sphinx because it's always indicative of silence and secrecy. So and this goes way back too. That's how England did it, the Roman Empire, same thing, because that Roman Empire was doing what it's always done. So what's important to realize here is that it's the most cunning, deceptive way is to say these people are experts, these people are higher educated, they're from this college, that college, and it's all vain, it's all material, it's all just gluttonous and selfishness. Which is why, because they're empty of God, many of these professors and all of these people in the education system that go along with socialism and Marxism and socialism is there's no different way of doing socialism. It's always part of Marxism. They go hand in hand. They end up marrying each other always. So what happens is those people, yes, they went into universities, became filled with so much knowledge, but because they have no wisdom, because wisdom only comes from God, then they go on to do the worst kind of research that causes more harm than it does good, creates more nuclear weapons that destroy people than keeps people alive. We have more hospitals now. We have more research labs. Why? Because the science and technology have taken mankind down a bad path while they tell you they're going to bring you utopia. No, they never can, because they literally are in this tree. They're on that side of that tree. And what does that side represent? Death. Death, destruction. It looks like a nuclear bomb went off, right? Or a pandemic. What's over here? Well, this was what God gave, was paradise. But God said, don't take from over there. And all the experts that the rest of us are supposed to listen to, well, yeah, that's where they've been dwelling.